assessment for learning and as learning, engages teachers and students in generating a continuous flow of information about learning. Teachers need to gather valid evidence of learning by purposely planning learning tasks that align precisely with goals and criteria. When evidence is also triangulated, using multiple sources such as conversations, observations, and products, it becomes more reliable. Gathering valid and reliable evidence for assessment of learning both informs and supports teacher professional judgment when determining a grade that reflects students' achievement. Assessment is the process of gathering information about learning. When used effectively by both teachers and students, assessment positively impacts students' learning and their motivation to learn. Information generated through assessment is used in a variety of ways for differing purposes. Teachers use assessment for learning to make instructional decisions and to help students improve through descriptive feedback. In assessment as learning, teachers actively teach students to set their own learning goals and monitor their progress toward achieving them. The focus of this resource is assessment of learning, the process of collecting and interpreting evidence for the purpose of summarizing learning at a given point in time. Teachers apply their professional judgment to interpret this evidence when determining a letter grade or percentage mark for reporting. In this resource, you will learn how to ensure that both the evidence gathered and the decisions made about learning are valid and reliable, and what these concepts mean in the context of classroom assessment. Your learning will focus on 3 actions that can improve validity and reliability. Formulate a plan to gather evidence, design effective tasks, and create and promote a learning culture.
In order to evaluate them, we need to give them the opportunity to converse about their structure. We need to give them the opportunity to talk to us about their structure, explain what their plan was, explain the different parts of their structure so that their learning really does become obvious to them and to us. Sometimes the structures don't always turn out the way that they had planned them to or we had planned to see. So if we give them the opportunity to explain their structures to us, then that'll give us kind of a real valid piece of evaluation.
So our final task would be to build a structure. And they can choose which structure they'd like to build. And that way they're motivated to create a structure that they like and they take ownership of.
This would be a good time for us to start planning some of the learning centers that you're going to be doing. I want to give you guys the opportunity to tell me what you could be doing to show me what you've learned.
Gathering quality evidence through assessment of learning depends significantly on creating a classroom learning culture where students and teachers use assessment for learning and assessment as learning as collaborative learning partners. This means that teachers and students know what is to be learned, learning goals, and what the learning looks like, success criteria. Students and teachers give and receive descriptive feedback. Students become adept at peer and self-assessment and at setting their own learning goals, resulting in a classroom learning culture that allows students to demonstrate the full extent of their learning.
Because we developed the success criteria together, the task together, the rubric together, I find that the quality of work is a lot higher than what I saw in the past. They're more engaged. They're involved beginning to end. When we talk about a task and we look at the expectation, they have input in what they're going to produce. We talk about how are they going to demonstrate their learning. They're more engaged in their role as a learner, and we're co-learning as opposed to me telling them what they're going to learn.
I guess I could say that I now feel much more confident about using my professional judgment, about my interpretation of my students' learning. And the other thing I've discovered is that really the student-teacher relationship has to be built on trust. I have to trust that they are giving me the best performance they can, and they have to trust that I'm only going to use the best evidence that I've gathered in determining where they're at.
What students experience when their learning is assessed and evaluated impacts significantly on how well they learn and what they think of themselves as learners. Summative assessment can and should be a positive part of the learning process.
I feel really confident because, when I'm done my work, I know I've looked over the success criteria, I've looked over the rubric and everything, and I know that I have everything I need to have in my work. So I feel really confident when she comes over and talks to me, and I know that I have everything I need.